Bungie just dropped a massive article detailing a ton of new PvP changes coming to Destiny 2 with Lightfall. Let's jump in from the very beginning. We have Lightfall Crucible update. Lightfall has launched and we are now several weeks into Season 20. Lots of updates are live with everything from an overhauled build crafting system to fresh seasonal weapons and raid loot. While these changes have given both our PvE and Crucible players a lot of exciting things to look forward to, we're planning some meaningful changes in the activity and reward structure for Crucible and want to give everyone a preview of what's coming. Very nice, very interesting. There's a lot to talk about. So here's a handy TLDR of what we're covering: playlists and offerings, updates to map and game mode weighing, now live, Clash is leaving quick play mid-season, interesting. New connection-based matchmaking, Crucible rotator incoming mid-season, that sounds awesome. Matchmaking, a data-driven explanation of Fireteam matchmaking, I love to see this. Fireteam matchmaking has replaced freelance, now live. If you don't know, if you just go into the Trials playlist, for example, or go into Iron Banner rather, solo, you should match more solos than you should match like a team of 6, for example. So that's the way the matchmaking is supposed to work with Fireteam-based matchmaking. Or if you do match a team, then if it's like a team of 4 against you, then you should have a team of 4 on your team as well. Upcoming Fireteam matchmaking adjustments mid-season. Loose skill-based matchmaking settings are changing mid-season. I wonder if they're becoming more strict or less strict. Competitive division, we have competitive matchmaking and skill rating explained. Nice. Future skill ranking and matchmaking system adjustments. Interesting. Upcoming competitive rewards mid-season and beyond. Quality of life improvements mid-season and beyond. Okay. Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris. Upcoming Iron Banner plans, future seasons. Trials of Osiris labs with new matchmaking rules. Interesting. Very interesting. Preview of Season 21 Trials changes. Oh man, this is going to be crazy. New and returning game modes. Countdown Classic. Countdown Respawn. Countdown Rush. And Checkmate. Okay. I am extremely interested after just that brief overview. I want to start with a rundown of items we added in Season 19 and the changes we're making to them. Overall playlists and offerings. We've done a ton of reflecting on player feedback to the Crucible changes we made at the start of Season 19. We recently moved Rumble back onto the Crucible screen full-time, and when Lightfall went live a few weeks ago, we also made the following changes to the quick play playlists, map, and mode weighting. Very nice. I was very happy to see Rumble return. Rumble should always just be a part of the Crucible directory. There should never be a time when Rumble is gone. Game modes increase the likelihood of getting control as the game mode over Clash. Got it. Maps, we got increased weight, more likely to play these maps: Javelin 4, Burnout, Rusted Lands, Midtown, and Wormhaven. I agree with a good majority of those. Those are some of the best maps in the game. Standard weight is Endless Vale. Okay. Altar Flame, Distant Shore, The Fortress, Pacifica, Radiant Cliffs, Bannerfall, Eternity, Widow's Court, Fragment, and Vostok. Okay, throw Widow's Court and Vostok in the reduced weight section. Now, in the reduced weight, less likely to play on these maps, we have Disjunction. Oh, that kind of hurts, because Bungie literally had like multiple years without a new Crucible map, and then the first time they bring one out, the community has unanimously hated on this map so much. And comment down below if you hate Disjunction. So much so that they have now removed it or pushed it to the reduced weight category. So Bungie has to definitely be reeling from that feedback, because that definitely has to sting. If you're the Crucible team that came up with the map Disjunction, you have to be really feeling like, holy crap, we made it a crap map. Cathedral of Dusk, which they brought back for whatever bizarre reason and is just a terrible map. Then we have Twilight Gap, the Dead Cliffs Clash only, Anomaly added back into the playlist at reduced weight, Cauldron added back into the playlist at reduced weight, Clash only, got it, and not in playlist, Exodus Blue and Convergence being removed from the playlist. Interesting to see those two gone. Let me know if you agree with those weighted map changes. Upcoming changes. In Season 20's mid-season patch, we'll be making another set of larger changes. Clash will be leaving the quick play playlist, leaving only Control, so it reverts to its old name Control, and it will be replaced by Iron Banner when that is active. Interesting. Both playlists will continue to use loose skill-based matchmaking, but we'll be making some changes to the matchmaking parameters. Loose skill-based matchmaking will have its skill and connection filters modified so that latency windows will be expanded at the slowest rate, and skill windows will start tighter but can expand more quickly as needed. This should manifest as more evenly matched games with lower skill variances for most players, with the primary fallback being gradually increasing the skill variance as opposed to widening the connection quality. Interesting. I wonder if they're getting some negative feedback about Iron Banner. I wonder if the overall population is significantly lower since they have introduced skill-based matchmaking and fireteam-based matchmaking into Iron Banner. I wonder if the numbers have plummeted a good amount. We'll see. They have a few graphs down below. This does not mean you will never see lag in Crucible. We do not prevent players from manually joining fire teams to which they may have a poor connection, and connections are dynamic, so their quality can sometimes degrade mid-game for a variety of reasons, but it does mean that matchmaking will try to only expand connection quality brackets as a last resort once the available skill and fire team size options have been exhausted. Got it. In addition, we are splitting the current rotator into 2 separate playlists, both of which rotate game modes weekly and both use connection-based matchmaking with no plans to change this. Got it? Crucible Relentless Rotator, Clash, Rift, and Zone Control. We see this as our main haven for players who want to engage with large team-based gameplay outside of SBMM, and having it will make sure there is always conventional team-based Destiny PvP to play when Iron Banner is active. The Relentless Rotator will be replaced with Trials of Osiris when it is active. Got it. Crucible Party Rotator. Oh, the Party Rotator. Mayhem, Scorched, and Momentum Control. Those are all very chill modes. Party Rotator sounds about right for them. These are modes that significantly modify the general sandbox in Destiny and play very differently than normal Crucible. All remaining freelance modes have been removed with fire team-based matchmaking in place. See the matchmaking section below for more details. Competitive Division, Rumble, and Private Match will remain always on options. Got it. So here, this is what it's going to look like in the future. We got Rumble, Private Match, and then the Mayhem. So we got the Party section. We got Trials, which will be rotated out from whenever Iron Banner is around, and Control would be here. I guess Iron Banner would be here, and then I don't know if they're going to do Iron Banner and Trials at the same time again. We'll see. I don't think they're going to do that, but we'll see. Additionally, we will be running Crucible Labs starting in the middle of Season 20 to put 3v3 countdown and a few variations through their paces. More below. Fireteam Matchmaking. At the start of Season 19, we added a new feature to our matchmaking called Fireteam Matchmaking. The goal with Fireteam Matchmaking is to keep fireteams mostly matching against other fireteams of their size, making it easier to play as a solo or a duo in 3v3 or 6v6 matches. Matching teams of similar compositions should make matches generally more approachable no matter what your fireteam size is, and I'm actually a fan of Fireteam Matchmaking. I feel like I've had a lot more fun and fair games with Fireteam Matchmaking. Comment down below if you've enjoyed that, especially if you're solo. It's nice. If you're solo, you go in as a solo, you mostly match solos. That's the way it should be. Original hope was that we would have it full-time in quick play, which has no freelance node, and be able to test it on Iron Banner by late January, then move it to other nodes in Season 20, and slowly start removing freelance nodes altogether. Our original few weeks of quick play were strong enough when looking at fireteam matchups that we decided to enable it in Iron Banner the first week and completely remove freelance from Iron Banner by January. To illustrate, the chart below is from week 2 of Iron Banner when we remove the freelance node. The chart is based around the player's personal fireteam size and shows the kind of composition of matches that were happening. Got it? Fireteam size. Okay. Excellent. So you got a 95% chance of, if you're a Fireteam 6, matching a Fireteam 6. If you ran with the full Fireteam 6, you matched others with full Fireteams with over 95% of the time. If you ran solo, you went against a full Fireteam 0.2% of the time. That's 1 out of every 500 matches. To break that one down further, if you're a solo and went up against a full stack Fireteam, 60% of the time you were paired with a 5-person Fireteam. Got it? 5% of the time you were matched with a 4-person Fireteam and another solo. 4% of the time you were matched with a 3-person Fireteam and either a duo or 2 other solos. 31% of the time you were matched with 5 other solos or some mix of solos and duos against a full Fireteam. Okay, this seems like a good change. It seems like that's a proper way of balancing Crucible matchmaking in regards to Fireteams. These numbers seem pretty good, and that's why I removed the freelance and Iron Banner node. No matter what size Fireteam you go in with, nearly all the time you are put into a reasonably composed matchup. However, there are 2 small areas we feel like could use improvement. First, for large fireteams 4+ and 6v6, fireteam matchmaking will heavily prioritize equivalent fireteam size over all other options, so much that it prefers to match 2 equally sized large fireteams with a wide skill delta over 2 similarly sized fireteams with a narrow skill delta. Interesting. Second, if fireteam matchmaking is unable to find a suitable match for a large fireteam within the given time frame, which happens approximately 1% of the time when searching as a 6-person fireteam, it will default to taking the first available match, which sometimes results in the smaller number of matches mentioned above, where a 6-person matches a team of solos. Got it? To combat both issues, in our mid-season patch, we'll be making a change to Fireteam Matchmaking Control in Iron Banner. that if matchmaking was unable to find an equally sized fire team with a narrow skill delta, will allow it to search for a similarly sized fire team with a narrow skill delta before handing out for a equally sized fire team with a wider skill delta. Got it. So basically they're trying to balance out, should you as a fire team of 6 match 6 solos of equal skill, equal or greater skill, or should you as a fire team of 6 only match other fire teams of 6, even if the fire team of 6 is of lesser skill, if they've been determined to have lesser skill. So should it always be 6s versus 6s, or should it be this team of 6 and their skill rating versus 6 solos and their skill rating, or 2 teams of 3 and their skill rating? And so there's kind of some variations that they're doing, and they're experimenting with a few different things. Example, if you are in a 6-person fire team with a weighted average skill of 150, the system may prefer a 4-person fire team paired with a duo with a weighted average skill of 200, as opposed to waiting for another 6-person fire team with a skill of 400. This should improve both match quality and matchmaking times for larger fire teams. This change should also reduce instances of fire team matchmaking being unable to find a suitable match before hitting the time limit and defaulting to the first available. In the rare cases where solo players do match against large fire teams, they should almost always have a large fire team on their team as well. Got it. On the 3v3 front, removed the freelance option at the start of Season 20 and added fire team matchmaking into the competitive division playlist, and we have seen the following compositions. So if you're a fire team of 3, you match other fire teams of 3 at about 98% rate, and solos match other solos at about 80% rate. Got it. Full fire teams are matchmaking other full fire teams 90% of the time. Fire teams of a duo and one of a solo are matched with the same opponent, team composition over 98% of the time. Got it. Since we removed the freelance node from both competitive division and Trials of Osiris, we'd also like to share data purely from the POV of a solo player. Interesting. If you queue solo, 80% of your fire teams will all be solos, and you'll be paired with duo nearly 20% of the time. If you get matched with other solos, 90% of your games will be against another team of all solos. If you're paired with a duo, over 90% of your games are against a duo/solo combo. We're happy with these numbers, although matchmaking times for 2-person fire teams are a little on the long side, so we may look to revisit the parameters in the future to see if we can improve this. Comp division, here we go. Another big feature we introduced in Season 19 was a revamp of the competitive division playlist. These were our goals when we built it. All players can find a variety of balanced matches and feel competitive. A player's PvP rank is a core part of their Guardian identity. Have places in the ecosystem to not engage in the ranked play, but still have decently balanced matches, or to not engage in skill-based matchmaking at all. We designed competitive division to be a ranking system tied to your skill, matchmaking rating, or MMR. Here's a graph of the competitive division versus skill for all players with 30 or more games played in Season 19, around 3 games a week. Got it? Okay. The thin black line is the target division rank of each skill. The thin line is the mean division, and each dot is a single player. The colors each dot represent what division the player is in. Okay. Got it. Outside of the handful of outliers, you can see that no one is more than 1,000 division rank above their skill. It also shows that the probability a little too hard to climb your target rank, as the average is well below, especially in the mid to high skill range. When we look at the same graph of people who completed 150 games in the season, nearly 15 a week, the graph looks a lot better for those serious PvP players. Got it. Outside of some real noisiness in the lower skill brackets, there are a few lower skill but heavy PvP players. The average lines up well with the target and what we want to see. You might notice a few strange dots, medium to low skill, but all the way up to the Ascendant or Adept ranks. We were super happy these players called themselves out to us, as we immediately knew there was either a serious bug or something fishy going on. We've investigated their individual match history and issued permanent bans for win trading. What? There's some win trading going on. Dang, that's actually crazy. People were doing win trading in comp. Why though? I wonder why. Just to get the rank? Strange. For those of you who are interested in how you rank against others, here's the end of Season 19 breakdown in number of players in each division, which shows the nice bell curve one would expect in a ranked system. Got it? Seems fair. Skill matchmaking versus rank matchmaking. Competitive division matches players based on their skill, not their rank. This can feel counterintuitive, but matching purely based on rank can lead to a couple of bad side effects. One, smurfing. A high skill veteran player creates a new account purely to play against lower skill / newer players who they can mop the floor with. This, of course, leads to mismatched games and drives newer players away from the game. While this is possible now, the skill system picks up on your smurfing skills quickly and moves smurf accounts to the proper skill pool. 2, tanking. This is a high skill player intentionally losing a number of games in a row so they can D-rank and play against lower skilled players who they can mop the floor with. Currently, once the skill system understands where they sit, it can be very time consuming to convince it that they are much worse than when they are tanking, and it will quickly bring them up to their former skill once they start playing again. So while this is still possible, in both cases our skill system makes the hassle of playing lower skilled players much worse than the number of games against them will generate. So instead we choose to matchmake based on our internal skill values, which almost all multiplayer games do too. The approach most modern ranking systems take is to match you based on an internal matchmaking rank, MMR, and throttle or expand gains and losses of the ranking system so it closely follows the internal MMR. As the graph above illustrates, a vast majority of players are near their target division if they have played enough matches, so we believe the skill matching and ranking systems themselves are working well, with a few caveats below. Interesting. Now we've got a section of how skill is determined. Here we go. We've taken a deep dive on this before, but we don't want to look at your stats and pick up random skill. Each player starts out with a neutral skill value, and they play against other players, all of whom have some skill value, neutral if they haven't played, or some positive or negative number if they have. After that match, it ranks all the players based on a wide variety of internal stats. Much more on that, how we show on the scoreboard. Generally weighted toward stats that are correlated with winning. Once everyone is ranked, it looks to see if there are any players out of place. Guardian A played better than Guardian B, but Guardian B has a higher skill. It takes those two Guardians and tweaks their skill values, pushing A up and pushing B down. It's important to note that, like ELO rating system, our skill system is always relative, and the adjustments are made by looking at the other Guardians in your match. Over time, it becomes more and more confident in player skill and will start reducing the amount of skill can be pushed up or down after a match. You must play better than your skill consistently over several matches before it will improve your skill, so it can feel like you get stuck in your skill, and this translates to your competitive division. Just because we believe the systems are working well doesn't mean there aren't things to improve. Based on around Season 19 feedback, analytics, and our own observations of competitive division over the season, we're going to be making some adjustments in the future season. First bullet point we have is it can feel too hard to climb your target division if you aren't securing enough wins. This is particularly bad if you're at the bottom half of the skill curve. We want the 30-game graph above to look more like a 150-game graph, just with more people. If you are below your target division rank and have yet to reach it during the current season, we are looking to add some additional ranking adjustments, as well as blend your current division rank with your skill for matchmaking purposes. So if you place below your target division, matches will be easier to win when you start your climb, as you should get more for each win. This helping system will end once you get near your target division, so deranking back down will not produce the same result as a second time. Interesting. It can feel too hard to break out of your target division once you reach it. We're looking at loosening up the confidence of the skill system described above and making it easier to increase and decrease your skill rating based on your associated division rank. The actual skill system is a separate server that does its calculations and skill adjustments out of sync with the scoreboard in the match, so we must do a rough estimate of the skill adjustment in the scoreboard to be able to give a rank adjustment in the moment. We aren't currently happy with how this estimate is working, so we're taking a more thorough pass at the scoreboard estimation for skill adjustment and bringing this more in line with what the skill server is doing. While the overall system is generally getting players to the right place over time, in the moment some of the outcomes can feel arbitrary, particularly the times where you win but only gain 5 division points. There are a few things happening here. You can feel like you played well. What you didn't see is that you are matched up against an opposing team with an average skill well below yours, making your gains minimal. This is one of the most common ways of only gaining 5 points. That's really funny. That's happened to me before. I'm like, why did I gain so much less? I want to show you an average of the other team's skills on the scoreboard so you can have a better idea of how good your team is, especially compared to you, and how good the opposing team is. If you win, your division rank will go up, even if the skill system thinks you should go down. This is another way you can get 5 points. Conversely, if you lose, your division rank will go down, even if the skill system thinks you should go up. Losses that result in losing 5 points. We're taking a hard look at these values. Skill is attempting to judge your individual performance relative to the players, not whether or not your team won or lost. We have investigated removing the forced positive or forced negative rank changes, but believe it will feel worse to lose points on a win than it does to gain them on a loss. Alternatively, we could increase the minimum points gained and loss from 5 to a higher value, but that means you would lose more rank in games where you performed well but didn't pull out the win than you did currently. That would be a crazy change. Hopefully they don't do that. Finally, if you are well above your target division, it scales your gains down and your losses up. If you are well below your target division, it scales your gains up and your losses down. This can result in some 5-point wins, but we think is working well based on the graphs above. All right, we've got competitive rewards. Okay, now the other half. What do I get for playing this highly competitive playlist? Currently, you can get an increase in Crucible rank multiplier based on your current division, which works in all playlists. Get 1 roll of the Rose Hand Cannon each week per character for participating. Find out where you stand among the rest of the Destiny PvP community. Earn the Glorious Seal by reaching Platinum, or Guild it by reaching Adept, as well as a number of other Crucible-related triumphs. One larger note, at the start of Season 20, we shipped a bug where players could claim Glorious or Dredgen titles without completing all of the intended triumphs. In our mid-season patch, Glorious and Dredgen Seal and Guild claims will be reverted and the errant triumphs removed. Got it. Any players who have completed all of the intended triumphs will immediately be able to reclaim their Seal or Guild. Any players who are only able to claim because of a mistakenly included triumphs will need to complete the regular triumphs to reclaim. Veteran players with multiple guilds of Dredgen will maintain their guild counts through this change. There we go. We want competitive division to have more rewards to chase for our most dedicated PvP players. And back when we introduced the system prior to Season 19, we promised more information. Today we have some. At the mid-season patch Season 20, Lord Shaxx will have a new emblem for you. If you are at Ascendant 3 or higher, there will be a stat tracker that allows you to put your current competitive division rank number on PvP emblems. Nice. This emblem looks sick too. Very cool. At the start of Season 21, the Rose Hand Cannon will be replaced by a new competitive division only sniper rifle for participation in the playlist. We plan to add new weapons to the competitive division every other season. Rose will be available again in the future season, but will be unobtainable during Season 21. Lord Shaxx will have a new Season 21 Ascendant emblem. We're adding a new Ascendant emblem and retiring the previous one each season. Got it? Lord Shaxx will have a transmat effect for all players who reach Silver 3 or above. Not only is this transmat the first one you can earn directly through gameplay, it also uses some new tech, so it changes the appearance based on your current Crucible division. Really? Let's see this thing. What the heck? Oh, very nice. It has your actual division in there. You can see the chevrons changing each time he spawns in. Oh, that's flashy. Nice. Oh, my. Dang, that's... Okay, that one looks insane. That one looks actually insane. Okay, let's go down here. We have competitive quality of life mid-season. Spawn overshield, aka spawn protection. The overshield that you get for a couple seconds when you respawn was originally tuned for Destiny 2's launch and has not been touched since then. As anyone who has been killed by respawning can attest, the launch shield values have not kept up with our sandbox. In the mid-season patch, we are adjusting the spawn overshield from 52 HP to 150 HP. This is separate from the overshield you get when you are revived, which is unchanged. Competitive and general Crucible quality of life future seasons. Spawning. Our spawning algorithms and tuning have not kept up with the time to kill and pace of the game as it has evolved over the years. We are committing to a wide-ranging spawn retune across many maps and modes with the goal of getting players back in the fight quicker and, if possible, near a friendly player, but always in a safe spot. To start with, we are targeting specific maps, Disjunction, Convergence, and Cathedral of Dusk, and modes Control, Clash, and Rift. As these maps play differently per mode, we will be making the following changes. We're adding more spawn locations for each of the other maps and modes. We're investigating disabling the backfield spawns for Control and Clash. Yes! Oh my god! That's so good. And adjusting the influence of objectives, capture zones, and allies so that players spawn near to allies and ally-owned objectives. We are also looking at alternative objective locations to make gameplay more central. For 3v3 modes and non-objective modes, we are looking at making laned maps feel more round by keeping objectives and spawns more centralized. We're also experimenting with blocking off portions of the maps with barriers. Really, that would actually be awesome. After laned maps are in a better place, we will start working through maps and modes. Lobby balancing. Now that we have had a chance to look at how skill-based matchmaking is affecting the PvP landscape and quick play and competitive vision, we are turning our gaze to lobby balancing. Our current algorithm tries to make matches fair by matching average skill on both teams as similar as possible. What ends up happening at times is the highest skill players get matched with the lowest skill players, and they fight all the medium skilled players. We're investigating a new style of lobby balancing that should make the team compositions feel more even in terms of skill allocations, while also keeping the balance on the teams as close as possible. Interesting. Lobby balancing has been a bit of an issue. We'll see what happens in the future. Iron Banner. We had many Iron Banner details in the TWAB last week, but we saved a few tidbits for the blog post. Interesting. While many of us love Rift in a fire team of experienced players, it isn't currently as friendly to solo players, PvE players, or new players as we would like when we feature a mode in Iron Banner. Expect an Iron Banner specific twist to address those factors in a future season, as well as new twists we're cooking up as we speak. We are also looking at ways to decouple the challenges for earn a daily reputation bonus from complete matches to as a specific subclass to earn a pinnacle in Iron Banner, but don't have a solution we are happy with yet. All right. Trials of Osiris. We have a couple tweaks to Trials of Osiris during Season 20. We have enabled Fireteam Matchmaking, which heavily prioritizes matching like-sized teams against others. This gives many of us the benefits of having a separate freelance playlist mode available without the downsides of directly splitting the population and making it difficult for duos to find quality matches. As with 6v6 Fireteam Matchmaking, we will monitor these initial settings and make changes as needed to provide the best quality matches for all players. See the matchmaking section above for data on how Fireteam Matchmaking works. We also have a few Trials labs on the schedule for Season 20. We'll be using the labs following the mid-season patch to gather feedback on a new Trials matchmaking system, which will remove the flawless pool and ticket-based matchmaking in favor of something different. Really? Holy, that's going to be crazy. I can't wait to see what that's all about. The summary of the goals for the new Trials matchmaking system. Allow players to play with friends without worrying about whether they have gone flawless. Oh! Remove the motivation to reset cards in order to farm or carry. That would be nice. Better protect players who are struggling to find success in the playlist. Okay. How does the new matchmaking work? We will now have 2 active soft pools. Soft meaning matchmaking initially prefers not to blend the pools, but will, if necessary, to find a good game quickly, so the distinction is not as dramatic as the one between flawless and non-flawless in our current system. Challenger pool. This is where most players who currently play Trials on a week-to-week basis and who want to go flawless will play. It represents an experience more like the original iteration of Trials in D1 without the focus of making games more difficult as the card progresses or after you have been flawless. This pool matches based solely on connection. There's no matchmaking based on tickets, wins on ticket, wins, weekly wins, or skill. Players who have any card with no losses, or those playing with someone in their fire team that has a card with no losses, will be placed in this pool. Got it? Practice pool. This pool is targeted at new or less experienced players and represents a place for them to dip their toes into Trials without being thrown straight into the deep end. This pool matches based on connection and weekly performance. How well they done in Trials this week resets every week. Only players with a flawed card or those on their first game of the week can play in this pool. Got it. Everyone in your fire team must have a flawed card or be in their first game of the week. This pool has Stomp Protection. If you're consistently struggling, it will reduce your weekly performance rating to give you slightly easier matches until you recover. Farming Protection. If the system detects that you or fire team member are likely attempting to farm the practice pool, it will slow down your matchmaking times initially, and if you continue, it will lock you into the challenger pool for the remainder of the weekend, regardless of your card state. Interesting. That's a nice change right there. As always, we'll be playing alongside you in both pools and monitoring feedback on the new matchmaking system and the season as the season progresses, with the intent to push it live full-time in Season 21. Later in Season 20, we will have more in-depth discussion about Trials, including additional changes that are coming to the game mode in Season 21. As a preview, we'll be looking at updates to passages. Wealth will reward extra Trials rank on every win. The amount rewarded increases as your major rank increases. Got it? Mercy will now forgive 2 losses. If you have not been flawless for the week, reverts to its old behavior of forgiving a single loss once you go flawless. Very interesting. So Mercy is going to give 2 losses now. Wow. If you haven't been flawless. But if you've been flawless once, then it'll only give you 1. Very interesting change. Changes to the Gilded Flawless title requirements. We want to bring this more in line with Gilded Glorious and better reward dedication along with individual and team skill in Trials. A new Flawless emblem rewarded for going flawless without ever trailing in any of your wins. Experimenting with changing the main Trials game mode to be Zone Control Elimination, which has been renamed to Dominion. What? A new introductory quest to better onboard players into the Trials environment. Okay, things are about to get very crazy in Season 21 for Trials. Holy crap. New and returning modes. In addition to the return of Meltdown PvP map in Season 21, a new Vex network map in Season 22. Oh, a new Vex. I didn't even realize that. That's been announced before. I didn't realize until just now. That sounds awesome, though. And Citadel's Reprisal coming in Season 23. We're planning to add several new and returning game modes to the Crucible rotation, starting with Countdown in Season 20. Countdown. Countdown is a reprise of the classic Destiny 2 elimination mode originally featured in Trials of the Nine. In Countdown, 2 teams go against one another in a single life battle for control of 2 Cabal charges. The Cabal charges on the map serve as focal points to force the combat and exist as the team-based solution to the stalemate gameplay that existed in standard elimination. Once a charge is armed via interaction, it begins taking down its fuse, and defenders have 35 seconds to defuse the charge before it detonates. Elimination's rules are active, and if a team is eliminated, the last team standing gains a point. As part of this reprise, we've brought in variants of Countdown to add features like respawn and multi-bomb. Here's what to expect. Countdown Classic, the standard Countdown experience, elimination team versus team with a Cabal charge as a focal point. Once a charge exits play via defusal or detonation, the round ends. The round also ends if a team is eliminated in the arm phase. In the defuse phase, a charge must be defused or defenders will be eliminated to end a round. Attackers arm one of two sites and defend the charge until it detonates. Eliminating the defenders wins as well. Defenders defend both charges from being armed. Defuse any active charges. Eliminating the active team can win, and any charge isn't in play. Holding off the attack can win rounds. Settings. Elimination rule enabled. First to 4 round wins. Revive. Revive tokens enabled. Revive cost 1 token. Lost token on death disabled. Token per round 1. Score detonations 1. Diffuses 1. Eliminations 1. Defenses 1. Maps are going to be the Fortress, Radiant Cliffs, Pacifica, Midtown, Eternity, Meltdown. And then we have Countdown Respawn. Interesting. The same experience as the standard Countdown, but with no elimination rules. Players respawn after 7 seconds and can be resurrected immediately by another player spending their revive token. Players only have 1 revive token per round. Attackers arm one of 2 sites and defend the charge until it detonates. Defenders defend both charges from being armed, defuse any active charges, hold off the attack, can win rounds. Settings, elimination rule disable, first to 4 rounds, 6 in 6v6, respawn in 7 seconds. Revive tokens enabled, revive cost 1 token, lost token on death disabled, tokens per round 1, score, detonations 1, defuse 1, defense 1, got it. The maps are going to be Fortress, Radiant Cliffs, Pacifica, Midtown, Eternity, and Meltdown for that mode. Very interesting. Next up, we have Countdown Rush. Countdown Rush is a twist on the standard Countdown experience featuring multiple Cabal charges per round. It also features the same respawn and resurrection rules of Countdown Respawn. When a charge exits play via detonation or refusal, the other unarmed charge reactivates and is available to be armed. Once both charges are out of play, the round ends and sides swap. Players earn points via detonation, defusal, and defense. In a defense win, the defending team is awarded points per site defended, meaning if both charges were up, they would get 2 points versus 1 if only 1 charge was armed. Got it. Attackers arm and detonate as many charges as you can. Defenders defend both charges from being armed, defuse any active charges, holding off the attack can win rounds. And then we have elimination rules. First to win 6 rounds, respawn 7 seconds, revive tokens enabled, score, so on and so forth. Maps, Fortress, Radiant Cliffs, Pacifica, Midtown, Eternity, Meltdown. One variation of Countdown will be featured each week in Crucible Labs starting in week 5. Next up, we have Checkmate. Looking forward, we're going to be exploring new modes that branch out from the standard Destiny sandbox. Checkmate is a new set of game rules that intends to create a slower-paced experience where players have more opportunity to react to encounters and where power spikes are earned rather than guaranteed. Interesting. This includes changes to how special ammo is acquired, ability recharge rates, weapon TTK, and the player's health settings. The mode is a significant shift from our core experience, so we're currently targeting a Season 22 timeframe to make sure we have time to tune the many interacting systems. Excitingly, Checkmate is built as a modifier like we use for Nightfalls and can be easily applied to multiple standard modes to give us maximum flexibility going forward. As we get closer to the final shape, we hope to convert some of our other modes, Momentum, Mayhem, into modifiers too. Interesting. We'll have to see what Checkmate's all about. And that's not all we have planned for new or returning modes this year, but we aren't quite ready to spill the details on those yet. That's all for now. We hope this deep dive into our Crucible updates, matchmaking systems, competitive division rewards, and future game mode plans has you excited for what's to come in the year of Lightfall. Until next time, we'll be keeping an eye on those Ascendant emblems and evolving competitive transmets out in the wild. Very interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below. I think it's pretty wild that you're going to get 2 losses on your Mercy card. That should significantly help people in their efforts to get flawless. I know some of you out there will be saying, I can't even get 3 wins. But if you can get 2 wins and lose, and get 4 wins and then lose, maybe you can get that 7th win. Who knows? Maybe that'll help you get your first ever flawless and get some of that good adept loot. These are some pretty good changes. I'm excited to see the future of Crucible with all of this going live. And make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. Smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.